Hello, everybody. This is Paul KAPOW on the KAPOW radio show. I've been gone for a couple of weeks because I had COVID and lung pneumonia infection and just about died. So I want to talk a little bit about my experience of my near-death experience with COVID to you all, just to kind of clarify what I went through and what I think is, my opinion, what's important when you're that close. But here's what happened. At the end of January, I've been struggling with a cough for a long time. And I was really stupid with the cough because I just kept thinking at some point it's going to go away. Or, if I take enough vitamin C, D, and zinc and all those things, that eventually, this thing would go away. But I had to cough for, really several years. And I would always carry not cough medicine with me, but cough drops and things like that. And a lot of times, on the show, I would cough and I'd have to edit it out and stuff. But I just had this cough. But my mentality was always, I just thought I was younger than what I am. I'm 63 years old. And, for a man, sometimes it's hard to realize, that you're aging and you're not who you were 20 or 30 years ago. And I had the macho thing and I didn't want to go to the doctor because, if you listen to KAPOW show for any number of years, all my little conspiracy theories and, I'm suspicious of everything and everybody and every system and every organization, including the medical profession. And, I just a highly suspicious person. And, it's of the world and all this crap. And what that did is that prevented me from getting the help I needed early on. And so that's one of the lessons I learned is knock it off. It's okay to look at the conspiracy stuff. I dig it. It's okay not to trust everything in these institutions. But, when you need medicine and you need doctors and you need that system, it was really foolish of me to try to avoid that. So I started feeling, worse and worse as time went by. And at the end of January, really just a few weeks ago, I started feeling really, really bad. And I was coughing. I was coughing up so much mucus and phlegm. And I was just feeling tired and, depressed and a whole bit. So I decided, hey, I'm going to go see a medical. And when I walked in the office, this was the end of January, last day of January. They took my temperature and I was running 100-degree temperature. And the office staff kept asking me if I felt okay. And I said, well, I feel great. I don't have a problem. I'm not sick. I said, it's just, I was probably sitting in the sun here, by the window. So they took my temperature a couple of times and I was about 100 degrees, went down to maybe 98, 99 while at the office, but I felt fine. And anyway, she, listened to me and my lungs. And of course, we want to start this investigation. And she thought perhaps I had allergies and that's why I was coughing and stuff. And so, we set all this stuff up to then take blood work and do all the medical investigation. So I was on the right path. Finally, after being so stubborn for so long to get it fixed, because it was really, the cough was really bothersome. What I didn't know is during those months or years that I had this horrible cough is I had built I had a lung infection. I had a bacterial pneumonia, not a viral one, but a bacterial one. And I know that for a fact because the antibiotics was able to get rid of it. But, I didn't even know what pneumonia felt like or, having it, but that's what I had. And my lungs were filling up with fluid more and more, causing my oxygen levels to go down. Of course, I didn't have the tools at home either to test my oxygen and things like that. And, like I said, I wasn't I just took my vitamins and exercised and, that's where I was at. So anyway, after my doctor's appointment, I ran around all week. Took the dog to the groomer and, went, to banks and stores, and I was fine till about Thursday or Friday. And we had a gig coming up February 14th, and we had been rehearsing for the gig with my blues band, Mesquite Cafe Blues Band. Go to mesquitecafebluesband.com. Do that right now. Go to your phone and put mesquitecafebluesband.com to know what this is all about. So anyway, we had a gig coming up, a big fundraiser at the Sports Ranch, and looking forward to it. And I had rehearsed all the way up to Friday, but then my energy levels were getting so low, and I just felt so weak. Well, what I didn't know is I was getting oxygen deprivation, and I didn't know it. And I had just finished uploading the last practice videos and stuff, and then Saturday night I was supposed to go see a friend play, and I couldn't make it. I was too sick, so I stayed at home, and that was it. Once I parked on the couch, I couldn't get up anymore, and I got very, very ill through the weekend. So that Monday, it had been a week since I first saw the doctor at 100-degree temperature. By the next Monday, we called him back to see if she could check me out. So I went there and I tested positive for COVID. So what was happening with me is I had COVID-19 on top of a bacterial lung infection that I already had. So that's what you call a comorbidity. So had I just had COVID-19, it would have been bad enough. But because of the lung infection and COVID being an upper respiratory disease, it almost killed me. So anyway, I was COVID positive, and there wasn't a whole lot they can do for me, except send me home, rest, plenty of water, hydrate, the typical thing. But what she didn't know was the infection going on in my lung. It wasn't just COVID. So I went home, and I just got worse and worse, sicker and sicker, to the point. And I kept thinking and praying, really, for some miracle so that we could play the Valentine's gig, which was the following Monday. See, so now it's been about 3 weeks, and I couldn't even get off the couch. And going to the bathroom was a major deal. I was so exhausted to just go to the bathroom and then to clean up and jump in a shower and even brush my teeth was absolutely exhausting. Because like I said, what I didn't know is that my oxygen levels were going down quickly because my lungs were filling with fluid. One of the most awful things was this constant coughing of mucus. And you ever see those alien movies where the alien spits this slime, this mucus out on people? That's exactly what was, I swear, that's exactly what was coming out of my lungs. And it was sticking to my hands and my t-shirt and my beard. It was unbelievable. And of course, being a stubborn man, it's like, well, I ain't going to the doctor. Last time I went to the emergency room, it cost me $4,000, and all they gave me was blood pressure medicine. And, I'm anti this and anti that, and, the government, and COVID, and, all this nonsense almost killed me, because it just wasn't thinking right. And well, as the oxygen levels went down in my body, it also started affecting my brain and the way I thought about stuff. And so I lay there for days, literally dying. And, my poor wife, she can't get me to the hospital. She can't do anything. And my niece, who lives in Colorado, was so concerned that she located a nurse here in St. George, or a company in St. George, that would come to your house and give you IV infusion. So she paid for that and everything. And this gal came to my house and put fluids in my bodies and vitamin B and C and D and everything. And I had an IV infusion right here in my living room. And that probably gave me enough sustenance to go on a few more days. But I honestly felt my organs shutting down. There was one night that, I mean, you could actually smell death. You know, if any of you have ever been with a parent or anybody, a loved one, you know, through a hospice situation at home, and you're taking care of them and the spirit of death's there in the room, ready to take them, there's a certain smell and a certain look and a feel. And I definitely had that. I had that on me. And I reminded myself of my dad when he was dying, which I believe he died an awful death. Same thing, you know, couldn't get enough oxygen and stuff. And I looked like my dad, and I reminded me of him, and I had the spirit of death on me, and the spirit of death was in the room, and really I was shutting down. And during this experience of feeling like I was dying, because I was dying, I'm not exaggerating, I was literally dying, shutting down because my lungs were filled with fluid, and I had this other thing going on. You know, the dreams, the things that were going on in my head were just torturous. And you know, one of the things that was real disappointing to me is you know, I never saw Jesus. I never saw, you know, the white light. I never felt the presence of a holy God, or you know, I'm not saying that stuff, you know, doesn't exist. I'm not saying that he wasn't merciful on me or anything. I'm just saying it wasn't like, you know, I thought it would be. You know, it wasn't, you know, heaven opening up going, you know, well done. You know, it's your time. You know, and maybe because it wasn't my time, you know, I don't know. That's all philosophical. I don't know. But for me, it was very dark. And I kept telling my wife just how evil this COVID is. Just there's an evilness to it. There's a darkness to this disease that I've never experienced before. And so as my, you know, oxygen levels went down in my body, also went in my brain, and I began to, you know, just really analyze my life. And, you know, you go over all these details, you know, your past. And, you know, I really wasn't all that thrilled with who I was, who I had become, and what I'd done and didn't do. And, you know, but, you know, for me, you know, religion was a moot point. Religion's just religion. It's humans' ways trying to figure stuff out. We don't know anything. You could believe whatever you want, and you can read and believe whatever you want about death and what's after that, if anything. But you absolutely don't know. And no one's ever known. No one. So you just don't know. And so, you know, when you're that sick, all the religion and all the stories and stuff, just, it didn't matter. The other thing that didn't matter is politics, Joe Biden, government response to COVID, truckers, vaccinations. None of that mattered at that point. Did I have a will to live? I really didn't care one way or another. I needed it to stop. One of the big things going through my head is that if I wasn't better by Sunday, I was just going to, you know, eat a gun, because I'd always tell my wife, if I get real sick, I'll always save one bullet for myself. And I was at that point. I swear, I'm not exaggerating or being dramatic. I really needed it to end, because I was drowning in my own fluid stuff. And I didn't even know this. So anyway, the February 14th came around Monday, and of course I was so sick we couldn't make that gig and that job and stuff, and then I was very disappointed, but I was also very tortured by things, and a lot of people were there and they spent a lot of money, and I just had a lot of problems with it. And then Tuesday, for some reason I told my wife, you need to get a hold of this gal. There's a gal that we know who was a really good emergency nurse back in California. And I have a lot of trust in her, and I really, really, really have a lot of faith in this woman, her ability. She's been retired for years, but she's really sharp. So I says, call Donna and run this stuff by her. So Linda had called Donna told Donna's deal, and Donna says, I need to bring over an oxygenator, oximeter or something. It's those little devices you put on your finger to detect your oxygen level. She goes, we need to detect this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And prior to this, Linda had called, I have a health sharing ministry, Samaritan Ministries, and she had called a nurse there. And then the nurse says, you need to get him in if his oxygen levels are real low and all this stuff. So anyway, I took my oxygen levels, and they were down by 87, 88, which is way low. Apparently normal is anywhere from 94 to 98. That's normal. So I'm way down there, to be hospitalized and get oxygen. And so when Donna brought that little device over, that was a game changer. And we saw how low my oxygen level was. For some reason, I just probably the grace of God still operating in me. But, I felt I was dying and my organs were shutting down. And they were. And just my lungs filled with mucus. And it was just awful. And so Linda had called the emergency room and said, look, here's his numbers. And they go, get his ass in there now.
Recently, spiritual attacks on innocent people have increased considerably. This is partly due to society's transformation into a satanic cult. Most people are clueless or hopeless in combating this spiritual mayhem. We wish to offer 2 good books to overcome these attacks. First, Demons in My Marriage Bed, a true story of spiritual warfare, offers one of the most effective training systems in combating spiritual darkness in order to gain personal freedom. Second, Eyes to See Unseen Enemies teaches how to see the hidden dangers which are all around us, even in places we would least expect them. Both books can be purchased on Amazon.com as a paperback or ebook. It is our desire that you will take advantage of these opportunities to increase your effectiveness in spiritual warfare and learn how to fight back instead of being a victim. We'll see you on the battlefield.
So on a Tuesday morning, probably about 10:30, I could barely walk in. In fact, the nurse, it was a male nurse, his name is Justin, really a cool young man. Just a really good dude. He asked me, he goes, did you walk in or were you wheeled in? I said, I walked in. And it's like, man. So once I got in there and I got on their equipment, I was running low 90s, high 80s, low 90s. And, blood pressure was real low and blah, blah, blah. So they put needles in me and they took blood and they did all that stuff. But I went to the emergency room and, when they knew I was COVID positive and saw the way I looked, they took me right away, gave me an isolated COVID room. And there I sat, dying, and so they brought in a portable x-ray machine and they took x-rays of my lungs and stuff. And I was filled with fluid. My lungs were just clogged with mucus, which they don't allow the air to come in, and then obviously then you get low oxygen and you die. And so throughout this whole process, my blood work, seemed okay. I didn't have any other issues there, but definitely had a secondary lung infection. So when the doctor, a really good doctor, a very, very good doctor, I really appreciated him, came in. The thing is, he says, we don't know whether the COVID came first and did you get the infection or you had the infection, but we don't know. Well, I know because I'd been coughing for, a year or more and wouldn't get help. So, when COVID hit me and I already had the weak lungs, it was a nightmare. And like I said, one of the things I learned is the stubbornness there is just ridiculous. You got to take care of yourself and quit being paranoid about, the devil running everything. There's common grace and medicine is part of it. And, it was a valuable lesson. And so he came in and he goes, he goes, if your lung infection is viral, if it's COVID, and it's a viral infection. There's nothing I can do about it. You have to write it out. He goes, but if it's bacterial, we could give antibiotic. And of course, with this antibiotic, if it's not bacterial, it doesn't work, and then it'll never work on you again if you get bacterial thing. So he says, I'm going to take a chance that it's bacterial. So he gave me these antibiotic pills, about 4 of them to start, and then he also gave me some corticosteroid to help reduce the inflammation and, make me feel better right away. And those 4 or 5 pills, maybe 6 pills right there, saved my life. That was it. It was a game changer. I mean, that was it. And I took those pills, and then of course he wrote the prescription. And today I just finished everything. Today I finished all my antibiotics, and yesterday I'd finished my steroids. But that was a game that saved my life. That literally that antibiotic began to work on the lung infection and clear that up. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking today. So I was only in the ER about two hours, and he was monitoring. The doctor was talking to me, and he was monitoring my stuff, and he explained to me about the oxygen and the home testing and things like that. And by this time in the hospital, I'm probably hitting 90, 91. And so he gave me the option. He goes, I'm going to give you the option. Do you want to be admitted? And if you admit, we'll put you on oxygen support and blah, blah, blah. And so he says, you're right there borderline or to be COVID admitted. Well, I didn't want to get in there and be laid face down and put on a machine and then die in the hospital. So I said, no, I want to go home. And so I went home. And the next day I woke up and I felt better. I felt better. So that was like Wednesday. And so today's Monday again. So it's been about a 4-week journey. And I actually went to breakfast yesterday. I actually went out. I ate. That was the other thing that was torturous. When I first went to the doctor, I was weighing 250 pounds. I weigh about 225 now. I lost 25 pounds in like 4 weeks. But I was starving. My stomach was the hunger pangs were incredible, but I couldn't eat anything because you know how people say with the COVID, you lose your smell and taste? It was the opposite for me. Everything was hypersensitive, especially salt. I couldn't eat anything. My wife got, just chicken soup, bland chicken that she boiled with, carrots and celery and some broth. Everything had to be low sodium, just so I can eat. And then I just started desiring fruit. So I'm eating blood red oranges and pears and apples as much as I can. But anything processed, my sense of smell was hyper. And she came out of the bathroom and had hairspray on, and I about died. Anything with chemicals I can smell. I walk by a candle, not a lit candle, a candle in a jar, and I just wanted to regurgitate. Everything stunk. Everything that wasn't natural stunk. Everything in our houses everything's chemical based. And I was heightened to all that, and everything was god awful, nauseous, but yet I was hungry, but I couldn't eat. And then they kept, got to hydrate, drink. So I'd drink. It's such a powerful thirst, but then you can't rest because you're always going to the bathroom. And urinating was just exhausting. And so that's just some of the symptoms I went through with the COVID itself. But over a period of days after getting home, I started feeling better and better. And so yesterday was the first time I was able to go out and get some breakfast. I actually had chorizo burrito. Could you believe it? I ate a little bit of it, and then I took the rest of it home and ate the other little half of that, burrito in the afternoon. And then, ate reasonable at night. So, I don't want to put back on weight, but, you know, I just get my strength back up. And then I was able to go to the storage unit and get some, you know, my PA and equipment stuff because I got other gigs coming up. And I was able to do that. And that was it. You know, it's like, well, that's enough for today. And spent a lot of time on the computer updating Mesquite Cafe bluesband.com. Go there. And we have a new album out called Oozin' with the Blues. And the thing is, the album release date was February 15th. And I missed the whole release date. I missed promoting it. I missed partying about it and talking about it and playing the music because I was on my deathbed. So I worked a whole year on an album and I had a release date. And then it just came and went because I was so sick. So if you want to hear it, it's everywhere on streaming devices. You go to, you know, if you go to Mesquite Cafe Blues Band YouTube channel, we have an official artist channel, and you can hear all that music there without paying anything. If you want to buy it, you can download it from the website, Mesquite Cafe bluesband.com. Get a discount. Get on our mailing list. You just see what Brother KAPOW's doing in the musical world. And, you know, and I got some really good jobs coming up and gigs, and so that's good for my lungs to sing. So I can't wait to get back to singing and get my lungs exercised. So anyway, that's my COVID journey. I wish I could sit here and give you some deep scriptures and, you know, deep insight about everything. You know, I hate the story of Job. Because it's just some big weird cosmic bet on this story, and I just think it's a horrible thing to happen, you know. But you read that stuff, you go, "Oh my God, that'll never happen to me." But you know, this is like my third Job experience in my latter years, really from 2019 to this year, 2022. I've had like 3 Job experiences where I just get my ass kicked, just, you know, for like really no reason. You know, I tried to be a good servant and a good follower of Yahweh and do the things that are right. And as you can hear in my show, you know, very dedicated to God. But, you know, sometimes it just, I felt like just let the wolves pounce on him and see what he does. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that stuff, but, you know, I do wish I can give you positive glory experiences and how heaven opened up and, you know, I saw the face of Jesus, but I didn't. It was very dark. You know, whether I was saved or not, or whether I had salvation or not, at that point, I'll be honest with you, it didn't matter because there was nothing you can do about this stuff anyway, you know. You're going to go. And I just didn't know. So it wasn't like I had that great confidence of, you know, well, I'm going to be home with Jesus, and, you know, what a day that's going to be when we all see, you know, Jesus will shout and sing the victory. You know, for me, that wasn't my experience. For me, it was just dark, very evil, and, very difficult. And, you know, in the middle of the night, my wife was talking to me, and she was dreaming, and she said something about, you know, honey, how do we pay what's our account to pay our mortgage and for the bank information and all this stuff. So she was prepared for me to die. And so in her sleep, she was dreaming about, because I handle all the finances and all that stuff. You know, I'm more technically literate than she is, you know, so I do all the online technical stuff. So in her mind, she was like, he's dying. You know, how do we pay the bills? How do we get this stuff? And she asked me that in the middle of the night, and I told her, honey, we haven't had a mortgage in 6 years. We have no mortgage. I pay no mortgage. I own my own home. And like all the bills are automated, paid once a month to the bank. All you need is the passcodes to get on those things. Everything's taken care of. Everything's automated. And that was it. So she thought I was dying. It was really hard for her to watch me cough up this mucus and choke and drowned. Just literally drowned in front of her. It was very difficult for her. And, she had a lot of anxiety, but she pulled through it. She was strong and controlled her anxiety and got me through it. So that was it. So antibiotics and steroid pills, they made the difference. They turned it around. So I don't care about the money or the bills or anything like that. And they come in. But so, like I said, once again, the lesson is stubbornness. As you get older, and you have to realize that. The other mistake I'd made through my life is being too suspicious. I think it's good to be suspicious, so you don't fall for all the trappings, but I was too suspicious of everything in the medical profession. The other thing I noticed is when you really have COVID and you're really sick, all the politics go out the window. To be vaxxed, not vaxxed, to wear a mask, not wear a mask, all that crap that the politicians took on this disease and politicized it, they should all be shot in the face for doing this to humanity, because it's a real disease and it's really, really nasty. And we don't need all the politics involved in this nonsense. And afterwards, I haven't had, a friend, ask me my opinion on vaccinations and, because, if you got vaccinated then you're sick, or blah, blah, blah. And I have no idea if the vaccinations would have made it less or the vaccinations would have made it worse. I have no idea, because I had that lung infection on top of it. All I can tell people is you got to do what you think is right for you. If you feel you need to be vaccinated and that's going to protect you, then you better do it. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But we've got to quit talking about it and quit fighting over this nonsense. Because it doesn't matter when you get it and you're dying. It don't matter. All that matters is the decisions that you made up to that point. So, anything you can do to prevent getting COVID, especially with any kind of comorbidity, I would highly recommend it. But anyway, so that's where I'm at. Once I get better, I'll go back to the doctor, finish the lung investigation, which I think is over, and then start feeling healthier. But get back into the game and see what happens. So that's my experience. That's why you haven't heard from me for a couple of weeks. And so we'll talk to you guys later. God bless, and stay healthy.